Hey there, and welcome to another Dave Does video. And recently I did the Megadeth's top 10, or my top 10 Megadeth albums, so it only feels fitting that I should now really go and do the same with Metallica. Now, Metallica don't have as many albums to work through, so it's a slightly harder list to kind of do it, but I guess it'll be more interesting to see which order I put the albums in. I'll take you through these again, of course, from my own personal opinion versus it may not be the same as the popular opinion, but it's what I personally would listen to. And the criteria is albums where I felt that they had either been true to themselves, were fully accessible for the listener, great songwriting ability, maybe it'd be an element of technical ability, etc. But I'll go through it as we go. So let's just kick it straight off. Number 10, Kill 'Em All. Has to start it off with the debut album. What a strong debut album it was. You've got so many like Seek and Destroy in there, Metal Militia, Motor Breath. Just amazing songs straight off the bat. Yes, there are. It's not the best production overall, and it's not something I'd probably listen to every single day, but it's a great reference point if you want to talk about early thrash from Kill 'Em All, and that kind of sets the scene and sets it off. Now, I didn't get into it at that time. I was far too young when Kill 'Em All came out. I was about 4, so I had to go backwards in time, and I did the same as what most people probably did, which was Black Album, and went backwards. So let's go into number 9 then. So number 9 is Hardwired to Self-Destruct. It's a very strong album. There wasn't anything massively new on it, but it was a good return to form from the band. Very solid performance all the way throughout. The production quality on the album was very, very good, and there are some really good song choices in there. Also, like the fact with that particular album that the band went off and did music videos for all their songs, which I thought was great and a great way of getting people to really connect with them. Is it a thrash album? Not really. No, it's a good hard rock album for me, but it's still in my top 10 at number 9. Number 8, we have Reload. Now, some might say, well, how does Reload go above Hardwired to Self-Destruct or Kill 'Em All? Well, because I actually really like the songwriting on there. Now, it is, of course, the weaker of the two, Reload and Load. Bit of a precursor to what might be coming later in the list. But there were some really good songs, and I like the fact that the band were writing for them rather than the fans. They were writing what they felt they wanted to write. They weren't sitting there going, we need to write a thrash song. They were just writing and playing what they felt like, and I appreciate that because it gives us much more of an insight into the actual band and their personal thoughts and feelings about music. And I thought Reload was a really good example of it, but it suffers from the fact that there are a few fillers on that particular album. Number 7, we have Death Magnetic, and this was their first real return to form after what was the album Sent Anger. So it was a chance for them to kind of redeem themselves in the eyes of the fans and, of course, the critics. They came back out with some great songs on the particular album. For me, I loved Unforgiven 3. I thought they did a amazing job on the Death Magnetic album with that one. And it's a good album to go back and listen to, and it's a good statement of intent from that period of time. So Death Magnetic is a good, solid album and a great tour that came off the back of that. Number 6 is a bit of a strange one. It's Garage Inc. Now, should an album of covers be included in this? Well, they released it as an album, so I'm including it, and I've done it in Garage Inc. instead of Garage Days because we got the Garage Days EP part of it in CD number 2 anyway. But I like the idea of Metallica showing where their influences came from and showcasing the bands that kind of got them to where they are. And there are many bands on that list that potentially fans will have never have heard of unless it was for Metallica. So I think it was a great way of them doing it, and I really loved the covers. I really loved what they did on those particular ones, even Whiskey in a Jar. Number 5, we have Ride the Lightning. What a great sophomore album from the particular band. We've got obviously the classic Ride the Lightning, For Whom the Bell Tolls on there, Call of Cthulhu, Trapped Under Ice, Escape. So great songs all the way throughout on that particular album. It's one of those ones that it was that kind of one-upmanship between them and Megadeth with each album that came out, and it's there kind of against interesting at this point in time. If you were to put that up against Peace Sells But Who's Buying, Peace Sells But Who's Buying is the better album for me. But it doesn't happen very often when Megadeth and Metallica went head-to-head that Megadeth came out on top. But in that particular case, they did. But this is still a very good album and was a massive step up from what they did with Kill 'Em All. Number 4, we have the Black Album, and this was my introduction. Like many other people, Enter Sandman was the first song I'd ever heard of Metallica's, and then we heard Nothing Else Matters and Sad But True, and then we went down the rabbit hole and we heard things like One, Harvester of Sorrow, and then found out about Master of Puppets, and a lot of it was based around music videos at the time. So it was only really when you went to the CD shop or the CD exchange or cassette exchange places and you bought the older albums. And I think I remember the second album I bought was actually Kill 'Em All, and I put it on after hearing the Black Album and going, what the hell is this, because the quality and the production had massively changed and it felt so different. So that's one of the reasons why I felt it was interesting to then go back my way through it, through Justice for All, Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning. And it took a while for me to get into those albums because the production quality of the Black Album was so strong, and it was a lot weaker on the previous ones. But once you get past that, the others were great albums as well. But yeah, Black Album, classic album. So number 3, same as what I did with the Megadeth. Unfortunately, that is Master of Puppets for me. So Master of Puppets is a great album. I'm not saying it isn't, but it is number 3 for me, and there's a few reasons for it. It is a standout thrash album, and if you're talking about great tracks like Battery, Damage Incorporated, Welcome Home, so there are classic songs on there, and it does stand out. But I do find that it's an album that I probably don't listen to very often. It's a great example of what a thrash album is, and again, it's one of those ones like with Megadeth, like with Rust in Peace, you would play someone if they wanted to explain what a thrash album is. I love the production quality of it and how they stepped it up from Ride the Lightning onto that particular album, but it wasn't quite good enough for me to be a regular listening to, so that's why it's number 3 for me. But it's an outstanding piece of artistry from the band. Number 2 is And Justice for All. Technical ability on this album is outstanding. Let's take the bass tone out of it. We know that issue there, and I've heard the version of it where the bass has been improved on it and it sounds great. But in the simple fact of it is if you go through those albums, the musicianship across that whole piece is amazing, and I can really appreciate what the band, when they set out with an agenda to make a challenging album. They didn't want it to be simplified drum patterns, but they did that with the Black Album. They wanted to strip it back. So I really appreciate what they do. It is one of those ones that I can listen to and dissect. I mean, One, everyone knows One, everyone knows Harvester of Sorrow, everyone knows Blackened. It's a great album to kind of break down into sections and just immerse yourself in, and just trying to think about how they came up with the parts, how they wrote the songs. And for me, that's why it's number 2. So of course, what does number 1 mean? Well, is it going to be Saint Anger? No, it's not going to be Saint Anger. It's going to be Load for me. Now, that's going to be a controversial one. How the hell does Load beat Master of Puppets? How does it beat every other album by them? Simply put, when it came out, I loved how honest the band were at the time. I loved the fact that that's what they wanted to record. I love hard rock, so when they did it, and you had Low Man's lyrics, which I can't remember if it was on Load or Reload now, that one, but with things like 2x4, the house that Jack built, great song, Poor Twisted Me, King Nothing, they were all just great tracks. They were hard rock tracks. There wasn't really anything massively metal in any of these. You got Ain't My Bitch. What we have on Load was it Fuel? I can't remember which order they went to on those two albums off the top of my head. I should know, but I kind of listen to them back to back. But I do know that when I go through Reload, I have a habit of skipping. When I listen to Load, I don't. I can listen to the album back to front. Bleeding Me as well. I love the honesty of the album, and whereas you listen to something like Death Magnetic and Hardwired to Self-Destruct, you might go, well, those songs could mix on the albums. Ride the Lightning, Master could mix on the albums, and even Kill 'Em All you can mix into the albums. The Black Album kind of sits on its own, and for me, the Load albums sit on their own. They're a statement of a period of time in Metallica's history. Maybe it's an area that they'd like to forget, but for me, that was the time when I was watching most of their concerts. So during the whole Load, Reload albums, that's when I saw Metallica the most of the times, ranging from like Donington, where they did the Escape from the Studio before they actually released the album Load, and they played 2x4 for the first time live. And I remember them doing that one and Devil's Dance. and just sitting there going, wow, this is very different from Metallica. This is not fast. This is not really heavy. This has got groove to it, and I liked it. I'm not sure how many other people did, but that's my top 10. Now, I would love to know, what is your top 10 order? Let me know in the comments down below. What did you think about my reasoning? Let me know as well. And that, of course, is how Dave does it.